Good evening and welcome to our Board of Education meeting on this Monday, June 13th, 2022. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We will begin with our superintendent's report.
Good evening. Welcome to our community members and employees. We have an exciting meeting for you tonight. It's our favorite one of the year, one of the favorites, with our 10-year celebration and recognition and our retiree tenure and celebration. So thank you to everyone who took the time to be with us here. We're going to start with the superintendent's report, and for the board, a little bit more of a lengthy one. So we had a period where we were meeting every couple weeks. It's been a month, so we have a few things to make sure you are updated on. First, some dates for July and August, the reorg meeting, the 2 hearings that we do every summer, Code of Conduct and Safety, and the regular board meeting will be on July 11th. And then if you could also save the date for August 15th, that'll be our August meeting, and we're gonna do our board admin retreat that day, starting at 3. We have a bunch of wonderful celebrations. The Odyssey of the Mind team, as you know, finished 6th at the Worlds. We invited them to come tonight. They are unable to, a little scheduling issue, so they are gonna be coming to see us at the July meeting. So congratulations to them. Mentioned to you in one of our updates that we are changing direction in food service. So our food service director has resigned, or will resign, you see it on the agenda tonight. So we're gonna do something a little bit different, and we are contracting with Cap Region BOCES for them to provide us a food service management director. So important, and it's in there in the update, that all the employees will still be Averill Park employees. It'll be the only one of the positions that will not be part of the district as an employee. It'll be a BOCES person. It comes with a lot of benefits, as you can see on the report, things that we're kind of hoping will help improve the program and lead to further improvements and enhancements, including access to a dietitian, some cooperative buying power, the existing to our network coordination and ability to access existing network of New York farms, so kind of some local produce and those type of things we think will be positive. And then, of course, there's always the financial component to this, and this is a BOCES service, so it's aidable, and that's a big step for us. We're very fortunate that Carrie was instrumental in bringing this as an option when she was in Niskayuna. It was actually the founding district with Cap Region BOCES. It's now exploded or expanded quite a bit. There's over 13 districts in it in the region, so we're excited to be doing this. We think it's going to lead to a better situation for our students and certainly help out financially as well. We've also kicked off some of our DEI work in a more formal manner since our last meeting. So in May of 21, the Board of Regents launched this initiative. It was supported in a joint statement by some major groups like school boards, the Council of School Superintendents, the Big 5 school districts, the Rural School Association, all supportive of it. Since that time, we've been going very slow and deliberate, trying to make sure we do this right and learn from districts that are out there a little bit ahead of us in terms of the work that's been done. Had some meetings with some folks. We've been part of a suburban council presentation that was done with sort of some best practices. We then had a steering committee of about 5 or 6 of us that began the work and started to shape how we wanted to move forward with this. Developed a committee, and we had our first meeting this past week, last week. So we are very excited about that and where we're headed with it. You can see there the general plan for next year is to investigate what we think DEI could look like in AP. What does it actually mean? Take a look at the data that's out there that we have very much available to us through the systems that we've built, and then review what is actually being done. So looking at things both quantitatively and qualitatively to see where we are, and then we'll kind of go forward. But again, we think there's some areas for improvement and some growth. We think we're doing a lot of really good things already, and we're just going to kind of build upon that and expand upon that. The music department seems like we always have an honor or recognition. This is kind of a cool one. They were asked to perform the national anthem at a Valley Cats game both the concert choir and the treble voices performed on June 3rd, and then the band and the orchestra performed on June 11th. It's kind of a cool thing that recently just happened. We wanted to recognize and congratulate them. We've talked a few times about UPK. Matt has been leading that effort. We've gone through the UPK process, a bunch of steps that we've had to go through. We now are at the point where we have a contract. It's on the agenda for St. Jude's, and we conducted our site visit. We held our lottery last Friday. The lottery was required because we have 47 applicants for 18 spots. So the interest was higher than we possibly or most likely were anticipating. They were the only one that was granted a contract. They're the only ones that applied. So, and actually, the contract was on the last one. Or is it on this one?
On this
It is on this one. Okay. Wanted to share some more good news. We hosted the Suburban Council Girls Outdoor Track and Field event, a pretty large event here on our campus. And that email you got in there was an email that we got from the coordinator who just said, I want to thank you, it's just a mark. Thank you and your amazing coaches for stepping up to the plate and hosting the 2 championship meets. The fact that both meets finished ahead of schedule and without any problems is a tribute to the hard work that you and your coaches put in. And really goes beyond our coaches, our operations and maintenance folks, the building grounds people, just do an amazing job. And it's here for part of that event. The amount of coordination effort that goes into that is fantastic. It's quite a lot of bit of work, but to see it all come the way it did and unfold like it did, it really shines a very positive light on the district. We got a lot of very positive comments. Human Resources has been busy. We wanted to provide you with an update on that. Again, this is something that is relatively new for us as Kim is finishing her 3rd year, I believe. We have gotten ahead of the hiring cycle and really have tried to make that a focus. So the school year is not even over yet. And you can see from the blurb that's up there, we've hired 2 English teachers. One with 17 years experience. The other one is someone who's with us before and is coming back to us. K-5 music, someone who actually has played professionally in New York City. A health teacher, Algonquin, who's an AP graduate, comes with 4 years of experience. PE teacher coming highly recommended to the high school. We're working on 5th grade opening and occupational therapist openings. This is a lot of stuff that's happened. The social worker at Algonquin, and it's not even the end of the school year yet. So we really have tried to get out ahead of this in an effort to really continue to add dynamic educators to our faculty. And we've been very, very pleased with the folks that we have coming in. We'll miss the folks who are leaving, but we're very happy that we've been able to attract and hire some really good people. Transportation success we wanted to share with you. We received our annual DOT report, and our buses had a pass rate of 97.48%, which is above the statewide average. Our folks always do a wonderful job over there. I think it's really important to notice this here that this pass rate was accomplished while we were down 1 mechanic. So the amount of work that they do, again, given the terrain that our buses drive in, 100 square miles, it's quite a bit of effort. And we want to thank our transportation folks for once again doing an outstanding job. And then finally, the most cutting edge just from this weekend, our boys baseball team won the Class A state baseball championship. So congratulations to Coach Brooks and the team on this accomplishment. So it's our 2nd state title in 2 seasons, which is fantastic. I got an email from Jim Hoffman over the weekend that said I beat him, which was kind of nice. He was here for 5 years and 1 state title. I personally got 2 in the last couple seasons. So he said, you win enough. He wrote, because I'm finishing my 5th year. He said, I thought I had this. And then he went on this little run the last 2 seasons. But the reason I really wanted to highlight this, besides the great accomplishment on the field, the quote there is a direct quote from the Union Endicott person who was running the event. And it was, again, written to Mark and said, we enjoyed hosting the state champions at Union Endicott. Your team was very polite and respectful the moment you arrived on campus. Well done. And I think that is, speaks volumes of our student athletes. Like the girls basketball team, the boys baseball team, extremely easy to root for. They're just really good kids. So congratulations to them, and not only their performance on the field, but for the way they represented us off the field. That concludes the longest superintendent's report in a very long time. Any questions from the board?
No, but of course, we're all happy to hear all that great stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of really positive things happening. So, Fitz, if you can hit the lights, we'll rock into our video here.
All right, now the report's really over. It was a very long video as well. So thanks to Brian Rados for putting that together for us. Jesse, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you so much. And it's great to see, and I'm glad everyone was here to see all the celebrations of success and understand all the stuff that's going on, because I know everybody thinks about their own building and where they work, and it's so wonderful that there's so much good stuff everywhere in our district. It just pleases us so much.
Jesse, can
Yeah,
I forgot one thing.
okay.
I wanted to make a statement at the end of the report regarding some safety concerns. So I did want to just take a moment to talk to the board about that, and to our community. So, obviously back in December, for those who remember, we had some significant issues in some buildings, and reported back to the board and the community about some of the things that we've been doing to keep safety at the forefront. Since our last meeting, we're all aware of the horrific tragedy that took place in Texas. And as a result, just wanted to once again reassure the board and our community that we are doing everything in our power to ensure the safety and the well-being of our students and our entire school community. As always, our issues are being dealt with through the code of conduct, very close relationship with the Rensselaer County Sheriff's Office. Similar to the COVID stuff, we've tried to handle things through a multi-pronged approach, a multi-layered approach, which is focused on consequences in law enforcement, but also engaging with our students and their families. It's involved structural and physical enhancements throughout our buildings. And just over the last few years, just some of the things that we have done, right? Like strengthening our relationships with law enforcement, increasing and improving our response protocols and how we respond to events, improving our training for staff and students to avoid, deny, and defend, where we've offered that even to our high school students. We've worked with all sorts of groups, from the Raptor Visitor Management System, which we've added. The list kind of goes on and on. We started this district safety coordinator position that we now have that's active and up and running. As you know, through the Smart Schools money, we automated our lockdowns, including amber lights, both inside and outside of the building, increasing our capabilities for the PA, our classroom phones. We've added intruder hardware in common areas. Those are the locks, the ability to lock doors from the inside. So it has been something we've done and tried to focus on. Obviously, everyone was impacted by what's been happening around us, and we just wanted folks to know that it is at the forefront. It is something that we are focused on. It is something that we are spending a lot of time and energy and resources on to provide as safe an environment as possible. So that was it.
Okay, thank you. So that moves us to item number 3 on the agenda, and we had a long period, right, Peter, where we weren't doing these, and now we're back to doing these on an annual basis, and it's very exciting. So I need a motion to approve instructional appointment for tenure for Sharon Burns, Molly Cobb, Victoria Hiltz, Michelle Michaud, Heath Keelace, and Amber Towns. That's everybody. Ann makes motion, Megan seconds. Any discussion?
Only just to say that I am so excited to get to vote yes on these.
Me too. I will say congratulations to everyone. Yes,
Was that Shannon first or Sharon?
oh Sharon, I'm sorry.
It's Shannon.
It's Shannon. Oh, my apologies. I'm so sorry about that.
I don't want to give tenure to somebody who's not you.
Only one of you
Sorry,
gets
it's Shannon. I'm sorry. My apologies, Shannon. We're still really happy. Okay, hearing no other comments, we'll call it to a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to all. Okay, and then the next part is really fun too. We have two resolutions and I will read them. The first resolution, and I will need a motion for that, is a resolution in appreciation of services of our school district retirees. Whereas the staff of Averill Park Central School District are dedicated and honorable men and women who regularly work to improve the standing of our district. And whereas Linda Billy, Claire Berger, Dolores Celeste, Michael Conway, Susan Court, Kimberly Coleman, Jane Danbury, Jennifer Dobert, Kevin Earl, Joanne Goodermoat, Nancy Klepsch, Susan Koninsky, sorry, that's not right. Koninsky, sorry, I was practicing that too. Koninsky, Michael LaScala, Juliana Liebner, David Linden Darrow, Elizabeth McGill, Laura Martin, Sally McKenna, Michael Weemet, D. Scott Reynolds, Michael Stritch, Terry Welcome, and Jennifer Yost provided distinguished service to the Averill Park Central School District and its students through hard work and dedication to the district for many years.
It's convoy. We have that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I am batting thousand tonight. Certainly not on that baseball. Okay. And whereas these dedicated employees have overseen the many changes that occurred in the district through the years, and whereas the communities served by the Averill Park Central School District have been enriched by the service these fine women and men have provided, and whereas these dedicated employees have shown genuine interest in the lives of those with whom they have interacted, befriending them and caring for them with real action, and whereas these dedicated employees always try to make the Averill Park Central School District a better place for all members of the Averill Park Central School District community, and whereas we wish these dedicated employees excitement, excellence, happiness, and prosperity during their retirement. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Averill Park School District expresses its deepest appreciation to Linda Billy, Claire Berger, Dolores Celeste, Michael Conroy, Kimberly Coleman, Jane Danbury, Jennifer Dobert, Kevin Earl, Joanne Goodermoat, Nancy Klepsch, Susan Koninsky. I'm so sorry. It's not really okay. It's not really okay. Michael LaScala, Juliana Liebner, David Linden Darrow, Elizabeth McGill, Laura Martin, Sally McKenna, Michael Weemet, D. Scott Reynolds, Michael Stritch, Terry Welcome, and Jennifer Yost for their significant contributions to the Averill Park Central School District and the community, and extends best wishes for many happy years of retirement. Resolved further that the Board of Education orders this resolution to present to those honorees and be included in the minutes of the regular Averill Park Central School District Board of Education meeting for June 13th, 2002. Thank you. 2022, yes. Thank you all. So do I have a motion to accept this? Okay. I'm gonna go with Samantha and Jackie. And is there any comments, discussion? Yes.
Obviously, most of it was covered in the resolution, but I just want to say I'm looking at Mrs. Coleman. Wow, a lot of names there that I recognize, and I just want to personally thank you as a parent and a community member. The impact that you had on my kids, really positive, and you know, my kids have all three have come through and had a wonderful experience because of you, and I'm sure even the folks that I don't know somehow impacted the kid, hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of kids, and I want to wish you all a very happy and healthy and long retirement, and thank you again for your work.
I'm with you. I recognize a lot of names on the list who've had one or in some cases suffered through all of my children. Some of you aren't done yet. You had an immeasurable impact positively on my personal family and on many families, and you are going to be dearly missed, but we wish you all the best.
Just looking at many of your faces, I realized that my children grew up with many of you, and the excellence of teaching, the caring of every one of you has had, excuse me, major impact on children throughout this district. So I want to personally thank all of you for your efforts and wish you the best in retirement.
Jackie?
Pretty much to echo what my fellow board members have said, but specifically to my Miller Hill people, Ms. Knesny, Ms. Coleman, Mr. Reynolds. You guys definitely, well, you're not sorry to say my kids, Mr. Reynolds, you're going to be sorely missed by my daughters, I can tell you that. But you guys have all played such a significant role in their lives. I really appreciate you guys being there for them. And all the other teachers who, like Megan said, they have suffered through my children, including Ms. Klepsch, who I know dealt with Vito quite a bit, and he really liked you a lot. So. And Ms. Celeste, who was a shoulder to cry on for my daughter when she had many a problem, even if she wasn't her teacher at the time. And all the other teachers who I know probably, like I said, dealt with them. And I appreciate you all, and yes, please, long, healthy, safe, fun retirements. Thank you, guys.
So, don't sound my best. My kids are pretty young still, and so thankfully our teachers are still here. But I just want to say, like, how many of us have talked to, like, the broader community, the impact that you guys had. It's not just the kids. Most folks that I've talked to who haven't been here for 50 years moved here because of the school system, and that's your legacy, but beyond just the students whose lives you impacted. I'm sure very profoundly. I know, having good teachers is the difference between, it's everything. But you guys created this legacy that is drawing people to this community, and for that I thank you, because I wouldn't be here. Your reputation goes out far and wide, and that's why we ended up here. So just to put it in a broader context, it's about the kids, but it extends so much farther beyond that. So thank you.
Absolutely, we wish you long and healthy retirement. Okay, with that, we will call to a vote. All those in favor of approving this resolution? I thank you, passes unanimously. Now, everyone will get their own copy of the resolution at the reception, but we got one more thing to do before we go there, and that's to approve one more resolution. And this one reads, the It's a resolution in appreciation of the service of Dr. Peter Schaefer. Whereas Dr. Peter Schaefer has served 12 years, 2010 through 2022, as a member of the Averill Park Central School District Board of Education, and whereas Dr. Peter Schaefer has devoted many hours and continuous effort over those years to provide and improve the educational program for the boys and girls of this school district, and be it therefore resolved that the Board of Education, on behalf of the students, the staff, and the district residents, express gratitude to Dr. Peter Schaefer for his dedicated service and the significant positive impact he has had on our school and community, and be it further resolved that this resolution be incorporated as part of the minutes of the June 13th, 2022 meeting, and that a copy of said resolution be presented to Dr. Peter Schaefer. Megan makes a motion, Samantha seconds. Discussion? We'll just go down.
I had to write it down, but it feels really weird with you sitting right next to me. Because I'm terrible with words, so I didn't want to forget anything, and I probably will anyway. But I wanted to say that Dr. Schaefer has been a leader on this board for several years, helping to guide AP through some of the worst times. His leadership, calm demeanor, and commanding presence have helped to maintain the integrity and focus of the Board of Education. He has been a mentor to me and always kind despite the contrast of my flailing, stuttering personality. His thoughtfulness and advocacy for the students, as well as the staff and administration of AP, has positively impacted hundreds during his tenure, and I'm sure will continue to do so. As a parent and community member of AP, I am grateful to Peter for his many hours of service, and although he will be missed tremendously, I wish him nothing but the best in his future endeavors.
When I was first elected, I wasn't 100% sure what to expect, and Dr. Schaefer took great care in making sure that I understood the roles and responsibilities and all of the proper ways to express myself in my own flailing and stuttering personality. I am not the silent type, but he has helped me learn how to channel myself better. And I am eternally grateful because what I have learned from Dr. Schaefer will help me better serve the community going forward. And I will miss working with him. I hope he won't be a stranger.
So I'm sure it'll come as no surprise to everybody how strongly I feel about public service and the somewhat dry, possibly mundane processes that go into all kinds of public service, school board being one of those things. And Dr. Schaefer is the kind of colleague and leader that gives public service real meaning and is exemplary of what it means to be a strong public servant. He knows exactly why he's here. He knows exactly what he's working for. That's you guys and our kids and the community. And he is succinct and straightforward, and he is all unmatched, nothing personal, in cutting straight to the heart of whatever we are dealing with. There's a million distractions in our lives, in our meetings, in our operations, and being able to cut through that to get to what's important is so important. And I so respect and I'm so grateful for the time that I've had working with Dr. Schaefer. He is an absolute role model for anybody thinking of public service of any kind. He renews one's faith in public service. So thank you for that.
I
wasn't as fortunate to get to work with you as long on the board as everyone else, but I will say that I did get to work with you when you were first a board member, when I was working for the district in the communications capacity. And during some really rough times, you were always very level-headed, very thoughtful, and that was hard at times, especially then. And people look to you, I think, to, like they said, to channel themselves and respond appropriately. And I think that we all could take a page out of your book and learn that. I appreciate all your service, the many, many years of service, and selfless dedication to this district. Thank you.
We all do what they said, but just, we have been on the board almost the same amount of time, and you certainly will be missed because I have much appreciated your camaraderie. You've been a great sounding board, a really level head, as the others have pointed out, but best of all, a friend. So thank you. Okay, with no further discussion, we'll call it to a vote. All those in favor? Passes almost unanimous. One abstention. All right, thank you, Peter. Okay, now with that, we're going to adjourn, or put the meeting on hold, not adjourn, put the meeting on hold for a bit, and we will go and celebrate all these wonderful things we just approved. Woo-hoo. And we'll come back.
Sometimes I feel like.
Welcome back to our meeting. Thank you all for getting together to celebrate the good things going on in this district. Our next item on our agenda is public comment, and this is the public comment period limited to topics on this evening's agenda. I have one blue sheet, but they wish to move to the second one, so I don't have any others. Does anybody else? Okay, we will move on to our presentations. We'll start with the science curriculum renewal.
Thank you. So as you know, we are undergoing some curriculum renewal. So we have 2 presentations for tonight, and I'll let Matt take it away and set it up for us.
Thank you, Dr. Franchini. We are extremely excited to have 2 more groups present. As I mentioned at our last board meeting when we had our art team present, renewal is a new process that we've undertaken. It's an opportunity for our teachers across all 5 buildings to work together to look at how their curriculum is working or not working, and to identify strengths, weaknesses, challenges, and really do it with a lens of vertical, so that we're actually seeing it from not just one level, but all 3 levels at the same time. So I'm excited to first start things off with our science curriculum renewal team. I'll turn that over to them so they can do introductions and take it from there.
So we're the science renewal team. My name is Jenna Brand. I teach 6th grade science. I'm the curriculum leader at the middle school as well. And we have representatives from elementary to high school, which has been a great experience for all of us. Okay,
I'm Janine Gaddis. I teach 4th grade at Miller Hill.
I'm Jen Cox. I teach kindergarten at Miller Hill.
I'm Jane Labasco. I teach 4th grade at Posting Couch.
I'm Luisa Sorrento. I teach biology and environmental science at the high school. Okay. First, I just wanted to say that being part of the science renewal team has been just an absolutely amazing experience for me, and I'm sure for my colleagues here, just being able to work with other teachers from different buildings and just getting to know them and talking about all things science related has been wonderful. When we first started, we actually needed to find a starting point. We kind of were all in the same room figuring out what do we do? Where do we need to start? And we figured out that we needed to start where it all ends, where we want our graduates to end up. So we came up with a picture of what we thought a graduate should look like as far as science goes. So one thing that we thought would be that a graduate should know the difference between what actual science is and what is not actual science. Being able to look at data, make observations, critically think about information, make and create charts and graphs and be able to interpret those. We wanted high school graduates to be able to work collaboratively, to be able to make and discuss, I'm sorry, I'm getting really nervous here. And I wasn't at the last meeting because I didn't have a substitute, so I didn't go over this with anybody. we're lacking stuff, I'm sorry, but I'm hyperventilating right now. Actually just being able to work cooperatively with their lab mates, understand and use scientific tools, know which tools to use to measure different things in science, and that kind of thing. And one other thing that I just want to add is that we had our senior graduates come through today, and it was the most amazing experience. And just in an interesting coincidence, I actually had all of them because I used to teach all of them science when I taught 4th grade. So it was just amazing. So wonderful to see all of them. Thank you.
All right, so after we looked at what we wanted our students to be able to do when they graduate, we said, well, I think we need to take a few steps backwards and look at our elementary curriculum. We really needed to determine, before we could determine the steps we need to take to implement the new standards, we needed a clearer picture of what's being taught across our grade levels. And we decided to start with elementary because we realized this is where a lot of change is happening. And it also is the foundational skills that the kids need going into middle school and high school. So we created a document, very color-coded because that's what we do as teachers to help us have a visual. And this is just a small portion of a larger document. But you can see that by grade level, it's color-coded. And we wanted to show that all of the topics and standards that are taught K through 5 for now. And we dissected what was taught by each topic at each grade level and then made the color code so it's easier for us to see and what shifts are happening. So if you look up at the top, you'll see that in black, those are the topics that are already being taught. They're currently being taught now. And if they are crossed out, it's either they're no longer being taught or they're not being taught at that grade level. The highlighted areas, if you look at grade 3, you'll see magnetism is highlighted. That means that that concept is coming from another grade level. It's highlighted in blue because it's coming from 4th grade. So it's really giving us an idea of where those shifts are happening. The blueprint is the new standards, the new topics and concepts that need to be taught. So you can see there's quite a lot on there. And again, this is just a smaller picture. The red is the materials that we may possibly need, possibly FOSS kits that will be helpful in implementing the new standards. So where do I switch my slide? Thank you. Okay, so after we did that, we said, well, let's take it one step further and break it down by grade level and look at the shifts that way. That way, teachers K through 5 can look at their specific grade level and know what shifts are happening, what new materials they need to teach, what's not being taught anymore. And we created a document for each grade level so they can really start to implement these standards. Thank you.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about what kind of discoveries we made after spending some time together and just in listening to my colleagues present. The discoveries really came before what Jen just shared with you about where we started, because that was a heavy lift, what we did to really list what we have currently been teaching at grade levels and then modifying that to reflect what will be coming. So we really, the things that are listed here, essentially there are 3 things we figured out. And I'm going to start with the second one that's listed, but it was very obvious after our first and second meetings that there are very big differences in how science is taught and how it's, what the instruction and the lessons look like and how they're designed between the elementary level, the middle school, and the high school. And as Jen mentioned when she was talking about the changes, it really does seem to impact K through 5 more than any of the other grade levels, because a K through 5 teacher teaches all the core subject areas. They're not just specifically teaching one content area or maybe a couple that are related to the same core topic. So there's definitely more of an immediate need for some changes, some learning, some sharing and communicating of information to people, specifically K-5 that are going to be teaching science. And that leads me to the second bullet, where something that we realized is that this information may not be well known because it's been changing throughout the whole year, even as we've been meeting as a science curriculum team. So we're, each time we meet, we're learning something a little new. So there's definitely things that need to be shared with the elementary teachers and how possibly we could restructure and design our lessons to address the new standards. There are common assessments we're going to need to be creating so that we can address those standards that align with them. And there's some new required New York State investigations that will be coming out in the near future, I believe in the fall. So we're going to have to be sharing a lot of information to teachers. And then the last way kind of was with what I had said before. It's just a totally, completely different way of teaching science, especially at the elementary level. It's this 3-dimensional model here of, the core ideas, how you engage in science and engineering practices by asking questions, exploring, revising what you're learning, questioning things, and then this idea of cross-cutting concepts is quite interesting because really it shows how students should begin to make connections with all of the areas that they study in school. Things like cause and effect or patterns you notice, those aren't just science or engineering skills, and we want them to begin to be able to apply that to gain a deeper understanding of science and everything else they're learning. I think Jen is gonna talk next.
So after we've done all that work, we try to make a plan of what we need to do in the upcoming school year based on things we realize that we need. So one of the biggest things with science that can be a challenge sometimes is the amount of equipment that's needed to run a true science lab or a true hands-on experience for science learning. So we have sort of started this part of inventory of materials. Louisa kind of created this document that we can build off of and hopefully gather the materials that we need for the required investigations, but also just teaching science in general. So determining the materials needed at each grade level is a big part. Then trying to reallocate materials or create a list of things we can share. Trying to be practical about this, and obviously materials cost money. So the last part would be purchasing and organizing anything that's still needed. Other things that we have planned or hope to discuss and work on next year is to potentially have someone in each elementary building. This is an idea that we kind of came up with together as a designated science contact to help organize and orchestrate all of this. In addition to that, having more of a central location for the materials because it takes up a lot of space. And this is just more of a logistical thing that we've talked about. And then having curriculum time and professional development for all of these things. So someone alluded to it before, but in 6th grade science, I focus on science all day long. Whereas in elementary, that's something that is just a small part of their day and not a huge amount of time can be addressed to that. But we think that as a team, we've really figured out that that is definitely a need to build into the elementary schedule, that instructional time, K-5, so that it's not getting skipped over because the New York State Science Learning Standards are here and the assessments are coming too. So this is the most updated, this is about the 3rd or 4th updated alignment to the New York Science Standards with the new tests coming down the line. So this is a piece of it. The 5th grade test, which was once in 4th grade, is now going to be in 5th grade, and the 8th grade test will be in spring 2024. So my current 6th grade students will be taking the new test in 8th grade, and then, so that's a pretty quick thing coming up, and that's why some of these things that we've been talking about all year are important to keep spending time, and our time working on it together has been quite invaluable for that.
Okay, so this slide addresses what we perceive to be the benefits of the practices moving forward, or practices to our teaching. It establishes a common baseline for understanding and teaching to the new standards. We will learn how, or we have learned how to look at the content and standards and teach the cost-cutting concepts and science and engineering practices with guidance from an expert. We brought in Stacey Giordano. She spent a day with us from Questar, invaluable experience. We looked at, we're looking at the standards with new perspective. We have discovered that the standards are changing over and how we need to approach teaching to address them. We have identified essential standards to address our goals K through 12 to guide our process. And we have gathered and shared resources that we have been helpful to us and we expect will be helpful to teachers that we need to introduce this to. The benefits to our students as we complete this process will be to guarantee consistency in science education for all students so that students will move forward with common experiences and exposures. Vertical alignment of science instruction and expectations. This addresses a common preparedness for middle school and high school students as they enter into the new coursework. Create 3D lessons to encourage students to be involved in the practice of science and take ownership of their learning, since the focus has shifted to process and skills over content. Students are the partners in the process of how science works, in that students develop an understanding of the content through practice. The use of models imitate scientific method through claim evidence and reasoning, which is an integral part of the new format of addressing the standards. And the new assessments are about applying the skills they have learned to explain the phenomena. Tests are expected to be skill-based, where students will apply what they know to novel questions and phenomena.
Sorry. We're dancing. So that kind of concludes what we've done all year. We're really appreciative that we got this opportunity to work together. It's really nice to have that connection, some people I've never met before, and to have the support of Dennis and Heath and all the administration and the board. We really look forward to next year where we can take our actions, steps that we have created in our minds and try to spend some time to make them come a reality. So thank you.
Any questions from the board for our subcommittee?
I have a comment. This is a really fantastic opportunity. And first of all, can I get paper copies of those slides? A little difficult to read from back here.
Absolutely.
Also, I have a little bit of background in science, and I'm happy to be involved. I'd be happy to be involved in working with you.
Since you have some time opening up.
Exactly.
Sounds great.
And also a connection with the college. I think there are many opportunities there for the students as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want a copy of the slides. I can take mine electronically.
I'd also like a copy of the slides, but I just want to comment as an overall how impressed I've been across the board at the depth and detail that all of the learning teams have gone into in their respective areas. You guys really, not to quote a meme, but you understood the assignment and you went there, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I really think this new model of the continuity of taking all of the levels from the different schools and working together, I really feel like this is moving the students in a positive direction so that they're not relearning some things and not learning other things, and that, all the kids are on the same page as they move forward together. I really like that idea. And I really also appreciate the concept of learning real science versus fake science. I think it's more important now than ever. So, if the new learning standards are focusing on that, I think that's a really wonderful thing. And I appreciate all the work that you folks have put. I mean, to assess where you're at is a big lift. And then to, have some kind of direction from there, it's a lot of work. So I appreciate what you're doing, and wish you luck going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely appreciate, and the presentation being so thorough, it certainly helps us to have a clear understanding, so thank you.
All right, now. As we're transitioning to, I do want to point out the SEL group wants to get their presentation ready. Each of these teams who comes here tonight isn't representative of the whole team. These teams have larger memberships than showed that represents tonight. I think this group had, probably 8 or 9 teachers as well. I should point out too that Dennis and Heath, I basically tap them and say, hey, would you mind facilitating? I think Heath will be the first to tell you he doesn't know anything about science. He's a foreign language guy, but they facilitate the discussions. The experts are the teachers, and for them, it's just really keeping the conversation going and make sure. So I do want to make sure I acknowledge their role in this as well. And really stress the importance of what's coming with science. There's a method to madness. There was a reason they were the first ones to go in this renewal process, because we know there's a lot of work there, and we're really excited at what these new standards will do. So thank you to that team. And now I'll turn things over to our SEL renewal team.
That was a really hard act to follow, so I might have to use some different techniques, but.
Okay, everybody.
So, but Janina, can you stage? Oh, sorry. Here, sorry, Teresa. Yes, that's all right. Can I move it?
Yeah, that's good.
I will. I'll move over here. Is that better? Yeah. Thank you. I just didn't want to stand behind them, if that's okay. So I was saying that was a really tough act to follow, but Janine already kind of said that. We all know what the beginning of a panic attack looks like, so if I have you. Thank you. We are the SEL curriculum renewal team. We're a little different because where the science team talked about their curriculum and how it's being realigned, we don't have a curriculum. So when we got together, we did things a little differently. And when I say we have a pretty big team, but this is just a representative. So Dr. Camille Harrelson and Ms. Becky Leach asked for a lot of volunteers from all different levels. We have representatives on our team from elementary, middle, and high school. We have special educators, we have counselors, we have math teachers, science teachers. I think we kind of run the gamut, English, but with us, we have Elizabeth Young. You'll see in the newsletters, Liz, and she is one of our social emotional learning coaches. Heather Wright, one of our special education teachers from the middle school. John Zender, math teacher from the high school. Megan Beauchamp, one of our elementary counselors, had planned to be here, but she is taking SEL seriously and she is at a special presentation at their school board for her daughter. So she's right where she needs to be. So when I say that we don't have a curriculum, we started actually right here in this room by saying, so what is it that we do if we don't have a social emotional curriculum in Averill Park? We said, all right, so what is SEL? It's the process of acquiring and applying skills. So let's start there. Camille and Becky put newsprint all around this room. We brainstormed and we really came to 3 different kind of categories. And our team is going to walk us through those categories. First and foremost, our students. Second, we looked at, so there's these New York State benchmarks, there's the Castle framework, and then there's what we do in Averill Park. How do they go together? How do they fit? What is it that we want it to look like? And then we talked about the physical environment. Are there spaces where kids feel safe? Are there spaces where they can be quiet? And then we kind of jumped off from there. So these folks are going to talk about and walk us through all of those categories.
So I'm going to start talking about the process of gathering information about our students, especially coming hopefully out of learning in a pandemic. I think that we've heard from parents and from educators throughout the district that students are struggling. And that's very anecdotal, but we've got to have a better method of figuring out where they're struggling, how they're struggling. And so we ended up going with Panorama in order to be able to survey our students. We liked this quite a bit for doing the survey because we wanted to have a baseline for how they're doing, especially coming out of a pandemic. We like that the survey is customizable. We were able to, as a committee, choose which questions that we wanted to ask and which question groups we wanted to ask our students. I think we were even able to change a little bit of language with some of the things as well. Ultimately, we hope to be able to take data on social emotional learning and be able to compare with how we've done in the past. But as we're starting out, that's not really possible. So one other nice thing about the survey is that it is normed nationally. And so we're able to compare with other schools as well and see how we're doing compared to other schools in the country. Lastly, we went with something like this because we want to be working with data. And as the math teacher of this group, I have to tell you, I find it very exciting that we're looking at data and using that in order to better inform the decisions that we're making. We wanted to give you a little bit of an example of what the survey results look like.
So you can see a couple of different areas and you see a percentage there. And that is the percent of our students who answered favorably in this group. And then to the right of it, you can see we get a percentile rank as far as how we compare to other schools. And so this is for our grades 3 through 5. You can see that it's a little bit lower in emotional regulation. So that's something that we probably want to look at. And then if we go to the next slide, here's 612. And in this, we were a little bit lower in emotional regulation and social awareness. So that's incredibly helpful as we go forward in looking at how we want to approach things. Thank you.
So what the team did next is the curriculum team split into groups, K-5 and 6 through 12, and we really looked at the benchmarks, New York State benchmarks. And the benchmarks are different, it's not like math or science. They're meant as guidelines, not standards like you would typically think of when you think of content areas. We discussed what was essential and age appropriate. Also, we evaluated where and how these benchmarks are being addressed in the school district already. And then some of the needs, we were able to pinpoint some of the needs that we could see by investigating this. Then we have the CASEL 5. So CASEL 5 provides the framework. The CASEL 5, I'm going to read them, are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. And the CASEL 5 gives us evidence-based strategies to use, not only in the classroom, but also in schools, and then carry over families and into communities. Yes. Sorry. All right. Averill Park provides the what, when, and how. So what we did then in the curriculum renewal team, along with the coaches, created the concept pacing guide. We're gonna use the CASEL 5 themes and incorporate them throughout the year. And then those activities will be based on those themes. Some things we've already done, we had the Warrior Wellness Days this year. We had it at the high school and the middle school. I could talk a little bit about that. The high school held a wellness day at the end of March. They had a keynote speaker, Mr. Reddy. Thank you, I'm sorry. Wellness announcements by student groups like SAD. And then at the high school, they had informational tabling. Students then were able to choose between 2 workshops to go to on Friday afternoon. And at Algonquin, we had, again, Mr. Reddy, which he talked about the importance of sleep, which the kids loved. They told me all about it, how much sleep they needed, how much sleep they weren't getting. It's true. Students were then able to choose 2 workshops to go to, things like drumming, nature walks, there was like thumb knitting, coloring, that they were able to go to 2 different ones on that wellness day. And in the elementary, they had a theme week in May. They had mindfulness Monday, try Tuesday, wellness Wednesday, thankful Thursday, and feel good Friday. And they were provided with slide decks with different choices of things they could do, maybe an activity, community circle, music,
That
right?
was one of the circles at Algonquin.
And that was a circle at Algonquin for the Warrior. We also do Warrior Wednesdays at Algonquin, so once a month they do a community circle. And there's a mindful walking, which is on the Mindful Monday, so an activity that a teacher could choose to do, or not, they could do something else as well. Okay. And then we're going to physical environment.
So another thing that we were working on was not just activities, right? But we want to be able to walk into a building and know that in Averill Park, people's social, emotional wellness is being attended to, right? So we looked at a couple of different ways to do that. What you're looking at are sensory pathways that will go into all the elementary schools. There are pathways like this that exist now, but they're made of masking tape. This is prettier, right? And clearer, right? So you don't, sometimes when I'm working with a student and I'm trying to use the masking tape version, I don't know exactly the right thing to do, but this will tell me, right? And I can guide a student through more easily, as can any teacher, right? And these help to provide sensory experiences that can help soothe and can also open up a student to be better able to learn, right? Which is our goal. Sure. And then, yeah, there we go. This is a slide that shows examples of how we already see SEL around the district, right? If you walk into Algonquin Middle School, you know the Warrior Way, okay? We're hoping that all of you learn the Castle 5 the way everybody knows the Warrior Way at Algonquin. So that is a message that we're sending. It's not active teaching, right? Not active and explicit instruction.